Hey polish fans, it's Caroline again and welcome to another video here at Wildman Lacquer. In today's video, we are doing a little comparison of some base coats that you can use to wear underneath sheer polishes. Some of these are purposefully built for blurring underneath sheer polishes. That is these four here. The one from Baroness X is actually a mixture of a bunch of different things, but it does have that feature formulated into it. Then I have a couple of other ones that I threw in, one from Essie and one from Quixotic. This idea came from one of the groups that I recently joined called Glow Up Polishes. At least I think that's what it is. I'll try to remember to post the name somewhere up here. But it's all about glowy polishes. So I thought this would be the perfect opportunity to share with you what one single polish looks like on its own versus over a variety of different kinds of undies. So the color that I thought we would go with is from Bee's Knees Lacquer, and this is Your Golden Traitor. I thought this would be a perfect one to use because it does have a beautiful glowy shimmer, and I think it'll work nicely with some of the more yellow tones like this one from Polished for Days. So what we're going to do is do some swatches of these onto my natural nails and then do a comparison of how Your Golden Traitor looks over each of these versus wearing it all on its own. Let's go ahead and get started. So the first undie that we're going to be looking at is from Baroness X. This is their Spellbound base coat. Now this is a 4-in-1, like I mentioned. You do have a ridge filler in there as well, a sticky primer, and undie for wearing under polishes, and it's also a strengthener. So obviously it has a lot of benefits in one bottle, but it is built for wearing under sheer polishes. The second one is a Fill in the Gap base coat from Essie, but I thought that this one would be an interesting one to try just in case you already have this mainstream in your collection. Although since I did get this one in a mystery box myself, I don't really know if it's still available, but hopefully it is, or hopefully they'll have something kind of close to it still. Next up is from Cupcake Polish. This one is the first blurring base coat that I got, and this is their VNL Blur. Then next up I have two from Polished for Days. The first one is their Soft Focus in Plum Taupe, and the second one is their Soft Focus Visible Nail Line Blurring Base Coat, which doesn't really have a name. I think this might have been perhaps the first one that came out in their Soft Focus line. I'm not too sure. And then lastly, we have the one from Quixotic, and this one is their Sweet Purple Base Coat. Now this one isn't specifically built to give any boost in opacity necessarily. The purple offsets the yellow staining that can be on nails like mine. They are pretty stained right now, but because that is a really helpful function to have when you are wearing a sheer polish, I thought I'd throw this in the mix and see how it compares to something that has more of a boost in opacity for it. Alright, so this is how each base coat looks on its own. We have the one from Baroness X over here on my pinky. Then we have the Essie. Then we have our Cupcake Polish, which is the pinkest. Next up we have the Plum Beige from Polished for Days. The yellowest one is this one also from Polished for Days. And then we have the Purple Tinted Base from Quixotic. That one I think has the least opacity. As you can see, those three don't really block completely the visible nail line, so you're definitely going to get more boost in opacity from the ones that are designed as a blurring base coat. So as I was swatching, I thought it might be interesting to also try it over a yellow cream polish. So the one that we're going to be using is from Urban Outfitters. This one is called Haystack, and this is kind of a goldenrod shade, but I thought it might work nicely under Your Golden Traitor. So we'll see how that compares when you're putting it over an actual color as opposed to a blurring base coat. Alright, so there we have one coat of Haystack. So now what I'm going to do is put Your Golden Traitor on all of our nails, and then on our pointer I'm going to do 2 coats of Your Golden Traitor all on its own as our control, so you can see how it compares when layered up over other colors. Be back in a few. Alright, so here we have one coat over everything. I think surprisingly, at least for this polish, a lot of these ended up looking quite similar. So again, we have the Baroness X over here on my pinky, which ends up looking very similar to the one from Essie. On my middle finger, we have the one from Cupcake Polish. On my pointer is the Plum Taupe from Polished for Days. On my thumbs, I have on the left Soft Focus from Polished for Days. On the right, the Purple Tinted Base Coat from Quixotic. And then on my pointer here, I have 2 layers of Your Golden Traitor all on its own. And on my middle finger, 1 coat of Your Golden Traitor over Haystack from Urban Outfitters. So, what do you guys think? Which one is your go-to pick? I think a lot of these ended up looking quite similar. These 3 over here, the Quixotic on my thumb, Baroness X on my pinky, and Essie on my ring finger, basically look the same. This was one coat over each of them, and you're still able to see the visible nail line, although with a glowy polish like this, it depends on if that's something that bothers you or if you feel that this gives you enough of a boost to not make you feel like you need another coat. Just as comparison, this is it all on its own in 2 coats. And again, here with that sheer polish, you still can see my nail line, especially at certain angles. Then you have, for comparison, the one from Cupcake. I think for this polish, it's a bit pink. So you do get a pink blush tone behind this one, but that is because it is pretty pink compared to my own skin tone. So if this one is closer to your own skin tone, perhaps that would be a good option. For me, I feel like it just ends up looking pretty pink under this one by comparison, but you can't see the nail line, so it definitely gets the job done. Then on my pointer, I think is one of my favorites. That one is the Polished for Days, the Plum Taupe. Again, you definitely get rid of that visible nail line. And I think that one is closer to my own skin tone, so you end up with more of a natural look. At least on me, it doesn't end up looking quite like I put it over something. So I really like how that one ended up looking. And the second one from Polished for Days also ends up looking pretty good as well, although because it is yellower, I feel like you do get a bolder hit of yellow when you're tilting it to a certain angle. So from this angle here, you can tell what you've put it over because that is where most of the shimmer disappears. And then for our last comparison, we have your Golden Traitor in 2 coats all on its own with no visible blurring base coat, and 1 coat of your Golden Traitor over a yellow. And I think both of them actually look really good. This tone of yellow looks really nice as an undie. So I guess it just comes down to if you want to see more of the base color at certain angles. That is one of the big differences between using it over a pink versus over a yellow. That pinky tone is that Cupcake Polish V&L Blur versus the yellowish tint that you got from the Polished for Days. So again, 2 different kinds of yellow. They're at that angle where the green shimmer goes away. You can definitely tell the tonal differences between the 2. So there we have it. Hopefully that was helpful. I know I talk a lot about wearing a blurring base coat underneath certain polishes, and there are a lot of variations and options and color choices out there. So hopefully this gives you a good idea about how each of them looks. So that wraps up this video on blurring base coats. Hopefully it was helpful and you enjoyed. As always, thank you so much for watching. If you're new, make sure to hit the little subscribe button down below. That way you don't miss out on any of my new videos, and I will see you in that next one.